Hey, I just got back from lunch. Did you finish that report yet?
Well, not exactly. Still working on it. I'm not finished just yet. I got a little sidetracked, but I will get them to you first thing this afternoon.
It is first thing this afternoon.
Well, yeah, I understand that, but I mean, I am working on
But
it. I'll have.
what do you mean that the report isn't finished yet?
I'm still in the process of working on it. I've just been a little distracted.
Distracted. Our meeting starts in an hour.
I can have it.
No. What were you doing? Were you listening to another hunting podcast again? I swear, I give the staff in this office the freedom to do whatever they want to do as long as they meet a deadline. That is the first bullet underneath your job description. Pays attention to detail and deadlines. And deadlines. With emphasis Dude, are you even listening to me right now?
Welcome back to the Whitetail Distraction Podcast. It's just me this week, guys, so I'm going to keep this pretty short and sweet. I want to wish everybody a happy Easter, and I hope that everybody has a great weekend. If you have a season coming up, good luck. I know Charles and I and a few of our friends, we're going to be going down to West Virginia this coming Monday and Tuesday, chase some gobblers. It's going to be a blast. But I want to thank our partners real quick. Scree Gear, WDP20 for 20% off your first purchase. VIP Archery. Go check out their broadheads. They're absolutely amazing. A&F Custom Calls. We're going to be using them in West Virginia. Check them out, guys. They are freaking awesome calls. And as always, we love Out on Limb Manufacturing and New Canoe also. That being said, guys, this episode was awesome. Jerald Kopp is a great guy. Go check out whitetail.com. This is the last day for the giveaway. We recorded this a little bit late. We had a little bit of time going on there. Go check it out. Get yourself signed up for the hunt and enjoy the episode, guys.
All right, we are back. Another return guest from way back in the archives. Mr. Jerald Kopp, the Texas boy. The Texas boy. He is back. Jerald, how are you doing, good sir?
Hey guys, I'm doing really, really well. I appreciate you having me on. It's been a while.
It has been a while, man. We've been keeping up with you a little bit off and on, throughout the couple years that we've been doing this, and you're. It seems like every time we make a post or something like that, you're right there on it. And you're like, can't wait to listen to it. I love that.
That comes from appreciating the things that people like y'all do and not knowing the half of what goes into it. So I like to not only keep up with it, but I like to follow it and promote it because I know a lot of work goes into it.
Well, yeah, we appreciate that.
We really do, and I'm grinning ear to ear because, man, it has been way too long. And I remember the first time you were on, we had such a blast, a really, really good conversation. If anyone out there doesn't remember Jerald, Jerald has First Light Hunting Journal, and then you also do some work with Empowerment Outfitters as well. And that's kind of the stuff we talked about the first time around. But you got a whole new venture that we're going to dive deep into. I am extremely interested, extremely excited about this. And it's going to be good stuff because I really want to learn more about what you have going on. It's called whitetail.com, but that's just kind of the background, guys. If you don't know who Jerald is, go back, find that episode and listen to it. That way we don't bore you with a whole nother intro that we did back then.
That works.
So Jerald,
thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, first off, I mean, man, we've missed a lot in the last few years. Why don't we catch up a little bit? What have you been up to? What exactly have we missed over the last few years?
Oh gosh, the last 3 years in particular have been quite busy for me. My wife and I, we've lived in Austin most of our whole life, Austin, Texas, and we moved recently, still in Central Texas, but out to a little bit more rural setting, and that's been interesting navigating that through COVID and everything. But things have been fantastic. We're very blessed. Still chase whitetails every chance I get, and I'm already getting withdrawals from it. That's one reason I want to talk to you guys.
Hey, we're okay with it, man.
Yeah, that's excellent. That's what I like to hear. So Austin just pulled it up. The last time you were on was episode 23.
That was 3 years ago.
Oh, my gosh.
This is episode 111, I believe. Right?
It is.
Yeah, 111.
That was one of y'all's greenhorn episodes. That was wow. I didn't realize y'all had done that many. That's fantastic.
whether you like to think so or not, that is a very highly downloaded episode.
Oh, surely not.
I'm being dead serious, man. I would not lie to you. That is a very highly downloaded episode.
Yeah, I've heard. I've never verified it, but I've heard there's quite a culture of people out there that like talking to overaged bald guys. It's just it's that slightly out of shape. The whole picture. So I guess I get it, but you guys are making me blush.
That's kind of our niche. And maybe you didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm your man.
I love it, Jerald. I love it. No, but anyway, let's keep going on this. I don't want to keep joking about it but really, it is a very highly downloaded episode, and I love that episode. And I've been stoked that you're going to come back on.
Yeah, well, thank you. I enjoyed that as well.
Let's get into it a little bit. So, you did a little bit of moving and stuff. How was your season last year? Was it pretty good, or was it, substandard like mine, or what?
Yeah, my season last year was good in many ways. It wasn't perfect. I've usually got my share of, I've got a volume of, a pretty good blooper reel from season to season. But I was pretty blessed. Things went pretty well. I took a couple of really nice mature bucks, and it was actually quite a struggle on one of them. So it was really well. I've got a really nice piece of private property that I've got access to in the Texas Hill Country, and I get to hunt that mainly solo, which I love the camaraderie of deer camp and all that as much as the next guy. But I really, really like to spend a lot of my time solo hunting. I guess you'd call it solo hunting the front country, right?
Yeah. All
sorts of property sizes and things like that. And I like I said, I came out real well. I took a couple of really nice deer and a lot of great encounters. And so I'm very blessed. I can't complain at all. As usual, the main deer that I was after, I failed miserably, but I just have a hard time complaining when things fell into place so much in other areas. So.
Oh, I totally get that. It does sound like you had a really great season, though. You shot a couple of bucks. That's
awesome, man.
Yeah, I wish we could shoot a couple of bucks here. That'd be real nice.
Yeah.
I tell you what, guys, when you talk about bow hunting, it's interesting to me because there's so many good archers out there. They're out there everywhere, and I come across them all the time. And all that to say, I'm not one of those great archers. And when I have success and I put in the work and, it actually plays out the way I wanted it to. Guys, I've drilled the last 5 bucks I've shot, and that is a record for me, I'm ashamed to say. I'm just waiting for something bad to happen next year.
You better knock on some wood right now, man.
Yeah, I'll knock on some for you.
I'm telling you, I'm not exaggerating though, if I really put that into perspective, that's a pretty good run because, as you guys know, there's a crap ton of variables involved with harvesting a mature whitetail with a bow. It just is. And so, long-winded answer to your question, it was really pretty darn good season.
That is absolutely excellent, man.
That's great to hear. Usually we ask that question and it's not typically good. we have a very good act of asking questions that come up with some of the worst results.
I'm not kidding you. We had like 4 episodes in a row where we asked that question and they were like, terrible. Thanks for asking. It was like,
worst season of my life. Thanks.
You could do that next year and I'd be the one saying that.
No way. We only bring good luck on this podcast, sir. So, this is at least 3 more years of good luck.
We need to talk to you guys after the show a little bit about doing your due diligence a little better, but that's for another time. you need to vet your guests a little better, but I digress. But I tell you, it was a really, really gratifying year in the deer woods. I really enjoy that, and I got to spend it on a lot of different properties, and things worked out.
That's excellent. We're going to have to come see you. We're going to have to exchange hunts. We're going to have to come down there, see you, shoot some hogs. You're going to have to come up here and shoot some whitetail up this way.
Right. I'm all for it. We need to make that happen instead of talk about it. I think we talked about that a while back, too. I would absolutely love that.
We did. I've been trying to find a way to get down there to shoot hogs for 3 years now, just so you know.
Well, I don't carry a lot of clout, but I can make that one work for you. So let's act on it this time because this is a target-rich environment for that, I can tell you.
Don't you threaten me with a good time.
Absolutely. I would love to have you guys down here.
That would be really, really awesome. Well, I am stoked to hear you had a good season. That's great. That's, good things come to good people. And, what really, obviously when we talk to you, we can feel and hear the passion for deer hunting. And I think that's what plays a part in what you do with, your hunting journal that you have and empowerment. But I really want to know what kind of part that played in with whitetail.com, because obviously there's whitetail in the name of it and how it came about. So I want you to take us down that road from the very beginnings of like the thought process of when this first came about.
Okay. Well, I would love to tell you that story. It's a little complicated, and, as it turns out in my case, all of this transpired fairly in short order, right? So I guess the long and the short of it is I was listening to Dan Johnson's podcast one day last year, and the founder of whitetail.com was on, Rick Mikey, and a very accomplished deer hunter. He does most of his hunting in Kansas. And anyway, I found myself picking up the phone and giving him a call after I heard that, just to kind of pick his brain on what he was doing, because I thought that, I still have a lot of faith in this, this hunting and outdoor social media concept. And I just wanted to hear what he had to say about it. And we talked quite a bit. And next thing you know, I'm kind of right in the middle of it. So I do a lot of content for him, a lot of articles and videos and things, cool things like that. It's everything from, I love storytelling. So storytelling, tips, tactics, you name it. And it's just been a really good fit, because it's all that kind of content that it's really good to have that companion content to go with any kind of social arrangement like that. We want this to be a portal you can go to, interact like you would on any other social media site, but yet have some other things, in there that are entertaining and educational and all that good stuff as well. So that's how that came about. I literally called him up and picked his brain, and it was a little over a year ago, and I've been working with him ever since. Now, the story's a lot more complicated if you start talking about how they formed from the very beginning, and I can give you my best shot at that. I understand it, but there's a lot of twists and turns. But there's basically what I would call three founders to whitetail.com. And, perhaps the best thing we've accomplished so far is getting that awesome domain name, right?
Definitely.
That's the first question we usually get on podcasts or anything else, is how did we do that? And what happened is our founder, Rick Mikey, he heard of this guy that had whitetail.com. This is probably 20 years ago. And, it was a very popular forum site. You guys remember how popular forum sites were.
Oh, definitely. I was on Archery Talk all the time. It's kind of still around.
I lived on there too.
Yeah.
And, and they did really well at it. And, as things happen, it kind of, truth be told, from my understanding, they were kind of infiltrated with some Russian porn, and the site kind of suffered a little bit. And, at the end of the day, it sat there kind of dormant for a while. And Rick made the trip to Wisconsin to meet with the guy that owned it. He's now currently one of the founders of whitetail.com. And, there's some negotiations. They worked something out and they have it. So that's how that aspect of it came along. But as far as Jerald, the way it worked out for me, I'm kind of a Johnny come lately. I started hearing about him a little over a year ago and kind of did some homework and more or less kind of jumped on board, kind of forced myself on him.
Hey, you got to go for what you want, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I just was really interested in it, and these guys are working really hard at it. We all are. And I truly think that there is a place for hunting only, outdoor only social media. And of course there's a lot of reasons why you would want to have that. We can talk about that too, if you'd like.
Absolutely, man. And I really appreciate the idea of the hunting only, platform. And I really love the idea of it. I never really imagined it actually, coming to fruition and taking off, but it's kind of coming into the light now, like Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and stuff are really starting to, ban hunting and kick hunters out. And, it's kind of becoming this place where you really need a platform for hunters.
Absolutely. And, I know you guys are well aware of some of the events that have occurred in the last year or so on social media with, in the hunting space. And it's not pretty, the cancel culture is alive and well out there. And in my opinion, the hunting and outdoor niche, kind of takes it in the pants, more than a lot would. So, and you guys probably know as well as I do, some very big successful brands that, by the way, worked really hard to get where they were, were basically arbitrarily shut down.
Definitely.
And so, there's the really bold examples like that, all the way down to what I think we would all agree is a very unfriendly algorithm on social media for hunters.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
So we're not the first people that have tried this. It's a challenging endeavor, but we feel very strongly that it can be done.
Oh, and definitely you couldn't have better timing realistically. Like, you got to think how many people are getting banned right now on TikTok. And like I said, Instagram and Facebook. It seems like it's constantly, you hear people on social media, I'm back from being in Facebook jail, back from a ban on TikTok. I created a new account, this and that. And they get banned for the most, these little things that don't even make sense half the time. But, somebody reported them and it got reported over and over and over and over and over again. And next thing you know, they're non-existent on that platform. So, having a safe space, for lack of a better word, for hunters is something that's in like great demand right now. So you guys couldn't have better timing.
Yeah, we think so. It made a pretty decent run at it about a year ago, and now we're kind of hitting it full throttle. And again, considering things I don't have a huge understanding for, that being things like social media platforms. I'm talking about the platforms that you actually program them on and build them on. It's my understanding that's a pretty complicated endeavor. There's a lot going on there, and not to mention it's very expensive. So it's just a matter, in our opinion, I think, of keeping the momentum going, keep plugging along, keep soliciting people to, actually even sometimes pleading, get on there and interact, because I think there's no doubt that, like any other platform, it just needs some momentum. And when that happens, I think that it's going to thrive, and I think it's going to be exponential. We already have some really cool interaction on the site now, and it's very much like Facebook and Instagram. I mean, I guess I would call it a hybrid between the two. You guys have seen it. I don't know how to distinguish it from the two, but it basically has, it's a living, breathing social media site.
Absolutely. I think of it more almost like Instagram from what I've seen of it, and I've interacted on it. I love seeing pictures, and I love seeing those short little stories on there, associated with the pictures and stuff. And it's not a whole lot of other crap. It's all hunting. It's not you're going on and, oh, hey, here's this about Joe Biden, and here's this about the Kardashians, and here's this about the Grammys.
Yeah, you got to skip through 40 posts to try to find anything that shows a picture of a deer.
Right. It's like, hey, look at how big that mule deer is. That's awesome.
Right. It's, oh, good. There's the picture that's not Will Smith slapping somebody, right?
Right.
Oh, man. Yeah.
But I tell you, I really think that it will take on a life of its own, and I think that it's important. I think it's important for us here to create a platform, a portal that's heavy on the social media. It's inclusive. I'll come back to that. But then we like to provide some value above and beyond the social media, which is via content like you would see anywhere else, and hopefully it's content that's any combination of entertaining and educational, and celebrates the lifestyle. There's a lot of good videographers and writers out there, and it just never get tired of hearing the stories. So I think it's a good opportunity for that too.
So let's break it down from a perspective of someone that has never seen it, has no idea what it is. First and foremost, probably the most asked question: well, where do I find this? How do I get signed up? Where do I start?
So the best thing to do, obviously, is to go to whitetail.com. And when you do, you're going to currently now you're going to go to it, and you're probably going to see a promotional, call to action also, as well, for the contest that we're currently running. But it basically brings you into a landing page that's going to, lead you to the social part, other content, the articles and whatnot. It's going to bring you into a place to log in. And when you log into that platform, it's just super simple. I mean, it's just like setting up a profile on just about anything. And like I said, it's pretty much living, breathing social media. I mean, you can comment, you can follow, you can like, you can, You can mention people, you can reference people. I think what's really going to be great, guys, is this thing grows. I mean, it's going to have a lot more functionality. You're going to see a lot of the things on it you see on some of the mainstream channels. Things like the ability to build groups and things like that, and subgroups of groups. And I think it's going to be one hell of a hub once it gets going. But as it is right now, it's fairly highly functioning as a social media site already.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm excited to see where it goes. Now, you guys mentioned, the growth and everything that you've been, kind of seeing over this past year and stuff. What are kind of the goals of whitetail.com? Where do you guys see yourself in the next year and the next 5 years? I mean, are you guys going to be running any contests or anything? I feel like I saw something the other day, maybe about a Kansas hunt or something like that.
Correct. Yeah. You're going to see a lot of that. And a lot of that does, in fact, I would say, heavily fall into the corner of our goals. I mean, I think in a few years, in our minds, sooner rather than later, we hope. Like I said, I think it's not just a hope, it's an expectation that there'll be, some exponential growth once this gets a little bit of momentum. And, it could be that some people, I tell you what, the mainstream platform, as much as they frustrate us, we're used to them, they're there, we're familiar with them. And I just think, after a period of time and some repetition, which is always good, I think you're going to see exponential growth. So I think in a few years, you're going to see a much bigger, more highly functioning, more functions involved in general, kind of a platform for people to enjoy. So the sky's the limit with the thing. Just a matter of, deciding when to strike on what new feature and that kind of thing. So there's going to be some changes to the platform after the new year for some technical reasons. There'll be improvements as well. I ought to mention, if you haven't already noticed, whitetail.com currently does not run off, it's not app driven. It's an online destination that works like a social media site.
Right.
And one of those very changes that may happen after the beginning of the year will be getting an app for it and whatnot. So a lot of big things on the horizon. And I'm a big believer that when things are growing and, there's a continual striving to, add functionality and make something better, that success will come. We feel really strongly about that.
Well, you stole my next question. I was going to ask if, because it is a web-based platform currently, whether you were looking into opening up an app, something you can easily just click on, and how people just brainlessly do it anymore. You're just sitting there, you tap on your phone, you tap on a Facebook app, and you scroll through for 30 seconds, get bored, and close it away.
That's right. Right.
And that's what it is anymore. I mean, that's just what that app is. It's no longer something that grabs my attention. But I think that is somewhat of an answer to relating to the younger generation that wants things now. They want them quick, but for the hunting community too, though, a big portion of the hunting community really isn't that younger generation yet. But it could be a way to bring that younger generation into hunting, which, that's one thing that we always set goals for, is to try to bring a younger generation, get them interested in hunting. And I think a social media platform, something they're so familiar with too, is another great resource to bring kids on board.
Yeah, I totally agree, Charles. And we were talking about that very thing a couple of days ago. And I think that there's just a lot of opportunity for this kind of a niche site, maybe even help with hunter numbers at some level at some point. Once it sets in, people get more familiar with it and more comfortable with it. I think that's a good point. And as far as the attracting hunters, I think it's also going to prove to be a really good tool in retaining hunters, which, as you guys know, is one of the about as big a problem as anything, right?
Oh, definitely.
So, keep using the word repetition. I think it really follows there as well.
Wow, this is really cool. This is actually the first time I'm seeing the app in person. Austin pulled it up, and
I have it saved like an app on my phone. That's why.
Yeah, and I'm scrolling through. Sorry, yeah, the platform I should have said, but it does look and it feels a lot like an app. I mean, this is actually really, really awesome. The functionality, everything, the look of it definitely gives you more of an Instagram feel, but everything I see is good. It's all hunting. It's all relevant. I love it. I mean, this is really cool. It's kind of blowing me away, to be honest, that I haven't signed up yet. And I just started that during this episode, to be honest with you, just because I wanted to see what it looked like as well. But I'll tell you what, man, that is A+. I really like it.
Well, thank you. Well, again, I mean, I think our expectations, it's only going to get better. And, I think, I'm trying to think what the best way to put this would be, but, these are some guys that, they're not going to rest until it's as good as it can be. So, future's really bright. But, in terms of what you were saying, Charles, is, this whole safe space, concept of it, I think is only going to come more and more into play. And, I think the thought is that it's a really positive thing to know that you can go somewhere and post without fear of retribution, any bullying, anything like that, and the whole concept around this also is to be extremely inclusive. Whitetail.com is a site that, it's going to welcome gun hunters, bow hunters. If you can bring down an elephant with a blow dart and it's legal, that's fine. It's going to be very inclusive, It's going to DIY public land junkies all the way down to guys and gals sitting over an ag field. We want them all. We want them all to, kind of commune seamlessly and in peace. I mean, they're all welcome. So I think that that's not an issue that's going to go away. I think that that's going to become more of an issue. I don't think that these trends we see are temporary.
No, definitely. Now, Jerald, being how user-friendly the website is, and it really does feel like an app, is there a function currently, or is it currently in the works to have a niche group on there?
Yes. Actually, that's high on the list, which is to have the ability to have groups in there, much like Facebook would. And as far as that goes, even subgroups of groups. I've never done that far down, but yeah, that functionality is something that is definitely in the works. I will say, I wish I could explain it better, but when it comes to the technical side of running a social site, there are all kinds of things, all kinds of hurdles to kind of deal with in terms of programming and functionality and things. The site is currently on a platform called Mastodon. I don't know if y'all know what that is, but it comes with a lot of, hurdles to get over and, just little nuances in terms of, you go on there and you add functionality, that's going to have some implications also to your programming, what other people on that platform can use that you created, all of that kind of stuff. It's not very fun hunting talk, but
no, but I think it's important to explain to kind of, get people moving along with it and stuff too. Having that functionality and, sort of that subset similar to like a Facebook and having your groups, like having something, as simple as like whitetail distraction, group on there or something like that. It's very, it's pleasing to people to hear that that's in the works and that's something that I can do. And, it's more hunter based and you're going to get a little bit more recognition through, actual hunters rather than just run of the mill people that are on Facebook looking at, DIY projects and stuff.
Absolutely. And, it's the hope is for it to be the kind of thing where not only can anybody set up a group within Whitetail, but I mean, it would be really cool if that was a good venue for brands like Whitetail Distraction, for example, to offer something like that to their community. So
definitely.
Yeah. And then again, the safe space part of it is just huge. I know it's kind of like the elephant in the room, and it might even sound a little overused, but I mean, I think you guys can appreciate all the hard work it takes to build a brand and build a following. And the thought of that arbitrarily being taken offline for a week or longer is, I don't know, that's pretty daunting to me.
Oh, so, definitely. And we've been really lucky that we haven't been, nabbed, for lack of a better term. And I'm gonna knock on wood right now. We're very lucky that we haven't been taken down for some reason or another. We have some pretty crazy episodes once in a while, not necessarily, I mean, the episodes posted on social media or anything like that, but I feel like we're very fortunate just for even having a picture of a deer not being taken down.
I mean, we have on TikTok though.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've had TikToks removed completely. And,
wow.
Yeah, and all it was a post with a picture of my nephew with his first turkey and us, with him with his first turkey fanned out, nothing gruesome, anything like that, but it got taken down. Yeah. Multiple times.
Yeah.
So.
I've heard some stories like that, and I've had similar things on First Light. It's funny. I'm such a small, insignificant player in this whole thing, but that's one thing I've learned, that whatever makes them to decide to make a move like that, I think everybody is fair game for them. So, it's not all Steve or Noah. So
no, definitely.
That will remain to be a big part of it. And we want people on there. We want people to. You guys notice it's called whitetail.com. Well, it's a great domain name, but even though we welcome all types of hunting, weapons, methods, all that stuff, I mean, it's no secret that the brand was built firmly around, America's number one game animal. And, I suspect that that'll be the lion's share of the content on there, although we welcome it all. So.
Yeah, certainly, man. Absolutely. And, on a more positive note, I think anybody listening to this episode can hear it in your voice. You're very excited about it. And that sort of excitement, it makes me excited about it, man. I want to promote this more. I want to get it out there. I really do think it is a great platform. And I think people would really appreciate the fact that, you go on, and if you're diehard about deer hunting, you get on here, you're going to see deer hunting, and that's what it is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It will be as automatic as it gets, and that's for sure.
So Jerald, I gotta ask the question or just, because you made a comment about, avoiding that bully mentality as well, because I think if anybody on here is listening, they've experienced some form of what either Facebook or Instagram where they've made a post and there's been shaming. And, a lot of that stuff I think comes from the fact that it's a platform that is open to everybody. It's not a platform specifically for deer hunting and, but maybe I'm taking your answer, but how are you, how does whitetail.com really avoid that kind of scenario where you have the people on there that are, shaming, if I shoot a Jake or if I shoot, a 6-point, that kind of stuff?
I mean, that's a fantastic question, and it always will be a fantastic question because, in my mind, a really unfortunate part of the hunting community. That's not to say the majority of the community isn't awesome. It is, but the whole concept of buck shaming and you shot that deer and he looks too young, all that stuff. It's funny. I mean, it sounds kind of like a fruit basket turnover, right? So you're gonna have a safe space site. What are you going to do about the people if they go over the line? Well, I mean, we'll have to draw the line somewhere, right? I guess the best way to put that would be with an example. It's a kind of a bizarre stretch of an example, but you picture anti-hunters coming on whitetail.com. Well, they're not going to get kicked off, but the minute they start, getting in on people and making things unpredictable, we're going to have a very, very short fuse on that kind of stuff. So there's going to be those people that say, well, you're not a safe space then. Well, we're a safe space for a particular niche, and we just happen to think it's a very important niche.
Okay. No, that makes total sense, and it's definitely something that's going to be pretty tough moving forward, especially with growth. But again, I'm hoping that the people that are negative and making negative comments, especially on Facebook, that those people just don't make their way over to whitetail.com. But it's an unfortunate point too, where hopefully more or less, instead of saying, hey, we just don't want you, maybe whitetail.com can change the culture of how people act and how people behave whenever, people harvest or kill the animal that they wanted to take. That's what made them happy. And once we change that competition culture and, bashing culture, I think that's the answer in the end. But hopefully, whitetail.com can help contribute towards that. And what does how many moderators, I guess, are on there kind of paying attention and watching those kind of things?
Right now, Charles, at this given time, at any given time, I would say 2 to 3.
Okay.
I think that's a fair number. It might go down to 1 occasionally, but usually 2 to 3. And I think your question and your point is a good one, because of course we hope that contingent of the hunting community just maybe stays over in Facebook. But we're going to get some of that. These are humans, right? There's human nature. There's gonna be problems that happen. If you've ever moderated a forum site, well, you guys have probably had to fight off some keyboard warriors in your day in some shape or form.
Yeah.
it's gonna happen, right? And so it's incumbent upon us to figure out best practices on how to deal with it, and in doing so, creating just what Austin said is, if we do things the right way, then maybe we can turn this into the answer, not just an alternative, right? We can make that not be the norm. That's just going to be something that occasionally happens, and I think we're capable of handling that. I mean, it's just going to be a matter, to be honest with you, of trial and error on some of this stuff, right? We're not flying by the seat of our pants by any means, but we may figure out some pretty good ways to do things in response to that down the road that we just don't know now.
Yeah.
No, that makes total sense. Trial by error, basically.
Yeah, but I think the key is to be paying attention to it. Don't just assume it's okay. And there's going to be people that say, well, your safe space. Yes, you're kicking people off just like anyone else. Well, we tend to not look at it that way.
Yeah.
We got very clear rules, and we're going to protect our folks.
Sure. No, absolutely. And I really, I honor the fact that you guys are even giving it a try, because there's a lot of people out there that see this as a huge, huge feat and a huge thing to overcome, especially with the attitude of the way people are on social media today, especially in the hunting realm. But I'm just pumped that you guys are giving it that go and really trying. But yeah, it's tough, anything with, I mentioned with growth, because, Austin and I, we really have been fortunate. We haven't had a ton of it, but, we made one TikTok that just went bonkers. It was a 160-inch deer easily in Pennsylvania. We called it a giant. Okay. We used the word giant. It got, all kinds of reactions. And right in there, it says Pennsylvania giant, and I made simple questions. Hey, if this isn't a giant, what's a giant to you? Because, hey, buddy, this is Pennsylvania, and that deer is giant.
A giant. Yeah.
Well, isn't that the truth? And anybody that doesn't think that's a giant's crazy. But secondly, that kind of deer slips through the cracks in a high pressure state like Pennsylvania. And I know y'all have some really nice deer too, so don't think otherwise, but that's a big deal. That's a big deal.
Yeah. I just thought it was funny because that was the one post that we made that got, the biggest number of views and biggest number of comments and reactions. I mean, it went nuts.
It was 126,000 or something like that.
Yeah, we had like 90,000 views overnight. It was insane how this thing just blew up my phone. And Austin's texting me the next day, did you see what happened? I'm like, what? No, I pull up my phone. I mean, there's just notifications. It was, we had so much fun with that. I wish we could have continued to make more go, but it was just like one hit and that was it. And then that's when, we started kind of getting things closed off by TikTok after that one got some notice. But, that's why I mentioned with growth, because it seems like the more exposure that one had, the more negative comments came with it.
Right. Yeah. Well, it had some positive momentum going, right?
Right.
But
right.
I mean, I'm sure there was a jackass or two, right? I mean, it's just the way that works.
Plenty. But it was fun because I like to.
Charles likes to engage those type of people.
And I like to think of myself as a pretty witty person and in a positive light. I turn a lot of those comments around on people and ask them questions and try to be witty and funny. And you know what? It was hilarious, but it shed some light. There was light at the end of the tunnel where 5 or 6 negative comments, and with one little witty comment back to him at the end of about 2 or 3 comments back and forth, that guy was like, hey, you know what? I totally understand where you're coming from. And now that I know more about this scenario, you're right. And it was actually like a positive thing at the end of it.
It was really productive.
Yeah, it was insane. But, that shows some kind of potential out there that people at first glance might make a comment on something that they may never think that they're ever going to get a reply back, or, they're just scrolling through. And then that's kind of where I feel like Facebook's the same way. They know that they're never going to meet this person. They're never going to have any negative consequences for what they say. So they just throw something out there without expectation of a rebuttal, or expecting they're just trolling, right? They're expecting a negative rebuttal. And when you give them something kind of witty and positive to think about, then all of a sudden it's a different reaction, and then they gotta sit back and talk about it. And I'll tell you what, man, it turned into a positive. So I would make the suggestion that, for whitetail.com, that same, take some of that same approach when you can, because it seems like when you're always trying to stay positive, but also kind of witty, that people react to it a little differently than someone just kind of bashing back and forth. And that's what Facebook gets. Facebook's back and forth, all negative.
Right.
But from our experience, I feel like that helped us get past some negative comments and turn them around, and people actually said some really nice things afterwards.
Yeah, well, a point well taken. And again, I think that goes back to what we were talking about a while ago. I think you use the term best practices, but I think that over time, and by the way, I've done the same thing on my platform before too, where I came back with a witty response, or a response that just wasn't expected, and
Yep.
was able to diffuse the whole thing. And, who knows if I can do that often. But I think the point is, what I was trying to say earlier is that you're going to learn to handle these things better and better. It will be cumulative. You will learn the things to do, because you're exactly right. You jump in there and get in a fishing match with somebody there, it's not going to go anywhere positive, right? So there's going to be little tricks. It's going to be some skill building. And I think the scenario that you brought up is exactly it. There are ways to handle that. And I think it's a legitimate concern too, because everybody's been on social media and forum sites where nobody really likes to be around for that stuff. I guess it might be kind of interesting for a while if you're like watching train wrecks and stuff, but it's just, at the end of the day, there's not a lot of quality there for anybody, right?
Right. No, I agree. That's awesome. And I what's good and what's really hopeful for this is that you're involved. We know that you're a very genuinely good person and a good-hearted person, and I mean that totally 100%. And I think that with you behind the realms of it in some form or fashion, you wouldn't be working with this company if they weren't other good people involved. And I think if you guys just stick to it, bring more good people on board and try to spread this thing, get it bigger and better, I only see that, the sky's the limit for you guys.
Well, I appreciate that. And, you guys have always been extremely supportive of the things I've done in the past, and I appreciate the kind words. Certainly goes back at you, because I appreciate what you guys do. And, I think that we all are doing the same thing in some shape or form, or trying to. And this is just another way to do it, I guess, right? So.
Yeah. It's at the end of the day, we're just trying to make a place that's better for the next generation, whether that's children, nieces, nephews, the people that we want to get involved in hunting, that we want to bring up through hunting. I see a bright future in even things that have surprised me. I'm going to go off on a tangent here, but I brought my nephew up to our camp a couple weekends ago, and he's 13 years old. He's hunted probably 3 years now with us, last few seasons. And we were just hanging tree stands up. God bless the kid. It was 20 degrees, a foot of snow on the ground. We were going down over the side of an absolute cliff, we'll call it, right? Just some wild stuff. Yeah. And he was all in for it. But, it was funny because he goes to school in an area in Ohio that's not exactly what you would think of for Ohio as like rural and well known for hunting. So a lot of the kids he knows, he's pretty much the only one that hunts. So he gets a lot of backlash. And he was telling me the story about how he was at school, and a lot of the people were talking to him and telling him about how bad it was, that he hunts and that he kills these poor innocent animals, that kind of stuff. The stuff that you hear, but you're hearing it from a 13-year-old's mouth. And some of the responses that he told me, that he told them, I was blown away at how mature they were. So, and I don't know where he's getting. Well, you know what? Actually, he listens to this podcast, so I think he was regurgitating a lot of what we say. I'm not patting ourselves in the back, but he was using phrases that like Austin and I talk about sometimes when we really get deep into this stuff. And I was thinking, I'm like, where the heck did this kid even get that? And I was so impressed that a 13-year-old kid has that kind of future ahead of him where he's explaining it now to non-hunters when they're children, and maybe he'll turn one of their heads, and get them in the right path. But why I went on that whole tangent was I think this is a great opportunity for our youth to really get on the right page, try to change that culture, because someone has to do it.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, your example is good, because it's like you're doing things by example, and just like you guys do on your platform. And, it's really cool to know that people are tuning into that, and not only kind of believing what you're saying, but they're learning how to respond to some of this kind of stuff, and that's half the battle.
Yeah. So, and it was just in that positive manner, not like around here we get a lot where there's people that we're going to do what we want to do, and it don't matter. That's just it. And I don't care if you like it or not. I'm a deer hunter. And Austin knows exactly what I'm talking about. We see those guys, and it's just not, that just doesn't work anymore. I mean, if anybody learned anything from the episode we did a few back with Joey, but we are by far the minority, and it's not just social media. I mean, look around, look at Dick's Sporting Goods, look at some of these places that are no longer carrying hunting equipment, and, are getting rid of guns in their stores. And it's, if we don't start somewhere and start to make real change, it's looking bad for our future.
Yeah, isn't that the truth? And I'm really astounded by how many people see the evidence that you see, and I think they assume that it's just not a big deal. But if you think about it, it's all going the wrong direction, and it's just, if we don't have some things to combat it, it's just going to happen a lot faster, and it's really sad.
Yeah. So on a different note, but kind of the same, what does whitetail.com really have any future goals as far as getting to a point where they're getting involved with different associations, potentially, either whether it's giving back or taking kids hunting, or, something like what Empowerment Outfitters does, something along those lines?
Absolutely. That conversation comes up a lot. I think it's a situation where right now I don't know what the right term is. I guess we're treading water, trying to get this thing really, really going right now.
Mm-hmm.
Those things are never lost on us. We talk about them quite frequently, and there's just so many ways we're going to be able to make some impacts by doing those things, I mean, we've talked about everything from wounded warriors to the kind of things we do at Empowerment, helping disabled kids get out in the field. But absolutely, we want to work with not only product sponsors and partners. We want to work with some of these hunting and outdoor organizations that, kind of have their finger on the pulse of conservation and all this stuff that us real diehard really, really think about all the time,
No, totally, man. Do you guys have any sponsors in anything currently? Are you guys looking at any advertising, or what are you guys doing to, really get yourself out there rather than just being on, the Whitetail Distraction podcast?
Well, right now, I can answer that in 2 or 3 ways. I mean, so right now we've got one sponsor that I call, I would just call our main base sponsor right now, which is Novix.
Awesome.
And
really big sponsor.
We're working hard at some other ones. There's some sponsors that I work with First Light that I think are interested as well. It's just not going to be that hard of a sell, I don't think. Apparently it's not. You've really got me thinking about that whole deal, though, because of how many times I've had that conversation with Rick, our founder, about, we get some of those kind of things secured, but it's going to be absolutely huge for us to establish some working relationships with NDA, whoever, at 2% for conservation, all of that stuff. So in answer to that question, I mean, it's not only been considered, I mean, it's definitely a goal.
Yeah, 2% for conservation stuff. There's just some really good organizations to get involved with. I really like hearing you guys think about, approaching them and whatnot. But, Jerald, feel free to tell me to kick rocks or anything like that. I know whitetail.com is sort of in its infancy as of yet, but, you guys have mentioned growth and everything like that. How many people are you kind of getting on this platform on a regular basis? I'm just out of curiosity. I'm not really sure. If I talk to our tech guy, I think the last time I talked to him, at one time, it's going to be somewhere between 1 and 300. Okay, cool.
Something like that.
Yeah.
and it ebbs and flows, and it ebbs and flows, and we've got some regulars, which is always kind of good. So we've also got a lot of lurkers, right? I think there's a lot of interest and a lot of curiosity about what this is all about. So, we've got hundreds of people that have signed up that are, I think, just kind of sticking their toe in the water a little bit,
kind of like
seeing
me.
what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, sure. I mean, it's human nature. I did the same thing.
Yeah, I think obviously the more you can get your name out there and get them associated with brands like you mentioned with NDA and 2%, I mean, that would be really could be a game changer for where you guys go and what the future looks like.
Well, you're exactly right, and honestly, I think we know that you've got a platform that's squarely formed around whitetail deer. With that really needs to come the whole picture. It's not just broadheads and
right.
backstrap. It's conservation. It's the habitat management. It's the and there's so much of what we do, and we all understand this, no matter what state we're from. There's so much to learn in this thing we call deer hunting. I mean, having this kind of platform, and there are platforms out there already, obviously, that are fantastic at this, but anything that can kind of keep people learning. I know that me, even at my age and experience, deer hunting, I'm still learning and I'm still failing. So all of that stuff is good and it's all very important, but we would be remiss, as whitetail.com if we weren't interested in and promoting things like habitat management, all that stuff, conservation, hunter recruitment, all of it. So I think that's a part that's a component that's gonna have to be there, and we want it to be there.
Yeah, totally, absolutely. And I applaud you guys. I really like the idea of the whole concept, and I'm kind of with Charles on it. I really think that you're a great guy, and I think that you're surrounding yourself with great people, and I think that good things to come to good people. And I can't wait to see where this thing goes, and I want to see it, really grow, and I want to see it, kind of take off and take it to this next level and become kind of like a new culture, sort of like Charles said earlier.
Well, I appreciate that, and that's certainly our hope as well. While I'm thinking about it, I'm segueing only because I don't want to forget. We do have the Kansas Whitetail Bow Hunt giveaway going on right now.
Definitely.
That I would definitely like to not get away without talking about a little bit. Is it okay to do that now?
Absolutely. Go right into it, man. Tell us the whole nitty gritty of it.
I just didn't want to get off without it. So as you guys have seen, we're offering a 2022 Whitetail Bow Hunt giveaway in Kansas. It's a Kansas hunt. I believe the contest still runs through April 15th. So time's kind of start running out, but we're getting a little close. So it's going, like I said, it's going to be an archery hunt. It's going to be a 5-day trip. And I got to tell you guys, this is some fantastic Kansas free range hunting territory. It's, we're talking about some grounds that have produced some whopper bucks. So this is, of course, the lucky winner's going to have to close the deal and all that good stuff. But it's a really, really fantastic opportunity at what I consider to be a bucket list kind of hunt. Meals, lodging, and licenses are going to be included. All the lucky winner's going to have to do is get themselves to Kansas. So
that's not too hard.
I'll walk for that.
No, I would walk backwards. But like I said, it's a great opportunity. The winner's also going to have the opportunity, if they would like, of course, to come in early, come in over the summer, whatever, fix their setups how they want them, do some scouting, all that kind of good stuff. And guys, I got to tell you, I have not been to this property, but I've seen pictures and I've heard about it many times, and it's beautiful country. It's not what you typically hear of Kansas. It's got a lot of rolling hills and elevation changes, and like I said, some really, really big, nice whitetails.
That's excellent.
That's awesome, man. Why don't you tell people how they can sign up for it? Me and Charles are already signed up for it. We know how, but give people the whole gambit.
Absolutely. So the best way to do it probably is just go to rewards.whitetail.com. Honestly, you can do the same thing by going to whitetail.com itself. But if you go to rewards.whitetail.com, it'll take you kind of a landing page, really the home page, really, but it's mainly going to be comprised of the hunt details and all that good stuff and terms and conditions and all that stuff. So that's really all you've got to do. I wanted to mention, though, with time winding down on the contest, we are still considering putting in some functions and some things that's going to allow members to get extra points towards the contest. That is through things like interacting on the side, sharing with new users, and we may even in the coming days have some really other cool stuff too, like maybe a spinning wheel, some different ways to get more points towards that prize.
That's very cool, man. I'm really excited about that. And if you go on, it gives you all of the details, all of the ways you can enter, what the winner receives, the details, the way that the dates are worked out on it and everything. So guys, go check it out. It's super simple. I mean, what are you missing by not entering it? What are you missing by not, signing up on whitetail.com is my whole thing. You're going to see, what you want to see, whitetail hunting, deer hunting, if just by going on here, you're seeing everything. I mean, right on my homepage here, I mean, it's giant buck after giant buck, and there's a huge shed. Here's a kid smiling. Like, what more can you want? I mean, come on,
smiling.
people.
Oh man, that is awesome. And what a giveaway, really.
That's an incredible giveaway.
I'm very partial to this giveaway because it really, and you guys understand what that opportunity is like. This is it's a bow hunt. We know what that's like. We know that there's no guarantees, but we also know that matching wits with the mature whitetail, for many people, probably one that's bigger than they've ever seen on the hoof is just an opportunity beyond belief. It is for me. I wish I could win it because I'd go right out there and miss that deer right away. I digress.
Jerald, let me put it this way.
Bud.
Let me put it this way. Say, for instance, I won this. You coming with me?
Oh, absolutely. I'm going to be there.
Okay.
There you
okay.
go.
I'm just checking it out because, I would love to share hunting camp with you, man.
Man, I think that would be so much fun. That would be so much fun. And I know it's corny. We talk about it all the time, but, the one thing that always stands out to me in the whitetail community in particular, and you guys, we've talked about this before. I just think it's so cool. It's universal. I use that term really broadly, but I mean, guys up there in Pennsylvania, and I'm a guy down here in Texas, and I think that we love some of the very same things. And I think the other thing is we have some different experiences too, and can learn from one another. It's just good stuff. This chasing whitetails thing, I don't think I'm going to ever get tired of it.
It's a camaraderie that, we find ourselves falling into a lot of the time. We go to, an event, or we go to a party, or, even if you go on like a work meeting or something like that, you kind of gravitate towards the same people and, like-minded people like us and like you. That's why I feel like we have such a good relationship and we can have these conversations. We're very like-minded. And as soon as we get on the topic, it's hard to stop. It comes up over and over and over again, and you share ideas and you share, stories, and it's really awesome. And that's what I see in this page also. So I'm really excited about it. Well,
me too. And well said. Again, to circle back, we want more people to be involved in that, more people to have that same wonderful thing that we all have. I mean, look, guys, it's pretty amazing. I met you guys never in person, 3 years ago, and I feel like I know you guys like you live next door. So I think that says a lot about this culture and the tolerance that you guys have for out of shape bald guys. I mean, my gosh, I mean, it's just like it's unbelievable. I mean, you guys are like saints.
Oh my goodness, Jerald! If you want to talk about an out of shape bald guy, you should see my 6-pack. There's so many 6-packs here; it's a keg.
Yeah, you have a natural light tattoo, huh?
Yeah.
I just haven't lost my hair yet.
Hey,
Personally.
We're right there with you, brother.
Hold on to it dearly, my friend.
Hey, it is what it is, and I enjoy the good conversation, man.
Yeah.
We are getting there closer on time, but is there anything else you want to throw in here about whitetail.com? I mean, I feel like we've covered a lot of stuff, but tell me if I missed anything, man.
I don't think you missed anything at all. I think what I would prefer to do is just real quickly just reiterate the very simple fact that, we want you on there. We want people on there to help us on this journey to make it what it can be, make it everything it can be. And I just think there's a lot of fantastic opportunities on here to learn together and to gradually build a platform or a community that functions, hopefully a little bit better than some of the mainstream channels do. And by the way, I'm not I don't walk around all day bashing Facebook and Instagram. They've afforded me some pretty cool stuff, with my brand. But I think knowing that, the direction that things are going, the overriding theme, I think, I was thinking about it right now, would be is we want you on our side. We want you to celebrate deer and deer hunting and the outdoors with us frequently, and we want more and more people on there. We want to learn from more people. We want this to be the beginning of something really, really cool. So,
yeah,
awesome, man.
Well, why don't you go ahead and throw out there real quick one more time? Where can people find you? Facebook, Instagram, all that fun stuff.
Well, the thing about it, we've got an Instagram page. We weren't so lucky with that domain name. It's whitetail _dot_com. Okay, that's our Instagram page, and then we've got a Facebook page out there, whitetail.com. We are working on developing a Facebook group, a Whitetail Insiders type group that we're going to launch here pretty soon. But that's how you can reach us on traditional social media right now.
That's awesome, man. Well, we will link all of that stuff in the show notes for you.
Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate that. Get yourself in that contest. Maybe we'll find all of us in Kansas this fall.
That would be absolutely awesome, man. I'm stoked.
Yeah, thanks again, Jerald. Really, really awesome having you on, man.
You bet. Thank you, guys. It's good to talk to you as usual.